Hey everybody, how we doing? I'm John Anthony. Welcome to another edition of Driving to the Bank, a special edition this week. We're obviously at the halfway point of the NFL season. Wanted to go over where we're at really in the midseason as far as teams, MVPs, where certain teams stand. We had a pretty big guest list planned for this show, but unfortunately life happens. People have things happen. So it's going to be myself and a good friend of the show, Brian Rago from Cheese Talk Podcast. Brian, how's everything going, man?
It's going good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you again so much for the time. I appreciate it. Time zone wise, we're a little bit apart, but I appreciate you making the time to talk.
No problem.
Awesome. So I had a couple other people with other teams. Obviously, folks that have seen us before. I'm a big Niners fan. Brian's a huge Packers fan. So I guess I'll just start with you, Brian. Kind of where are you guys at? How do you see the team right now as far as expectations and how the year you thought would be and where you're at right now mid-season?
I think we're sitting pretty good. The last game was a tough loss, but, it wasn't to a bad team. Detroit's gotten better in the last couple of years. The weather played a big part of last game, and just you couldn't take advantage of field position. We're beyond the 40-yard line of Detroit, 7 times, and scored 14 points. Missed field goals, drops in the end zone. You couldn't get any pressure on the quarterback. You can't win games if you can't, get turnovers and stops on defense. I'm not quite sure if I would have played Jordan Love in that game, knowing that we have a bye this next week, get those 2 weeks to get him healthy after the growing issue. And knowing what we could have done with Malik Willis and how they game plan with him running the ball. Because when they had him in, they seemed to run the ball pretty good and passed and made completions when we needed it. As far as other things that stick out to me, definitely getting Xavier McKinney has paid off. I was high on him when we got him. I still can't believe the Giants got rid of him or let him walk. 24 years old. I don't even think he's hit his prime yet, to be honest. He has like that Charles Woodson vibe about him. Like he's that difference maker on defense that's going to change that defense around. It's kind of frustrating to see Jair out with these injuries. We could have used them against Detroit, but we weren't able to. Quay Walker, good games, bad games. He's doing what he's supposed to. He's making tackles, chasing the ball carrier down. Defensive line, I don't think is getting enough pressure to make that big of an impact on the quarterback. You have a quarterback like Jared Goff getting 5-6 seconds to throw the ball.
Incredible.
It defeats the purpose of, because eventually the defender is not going to be able to keep on chasing the wide receiver around for, 5+ seconds. Someone's going to lose a step or two. I don't know. Keyshawn Nixon, I liked him when we got him, but that was when we had the original kickoff rules, and then he did so good for us. Then we signed him longer, and then they take away the kickoff rule and make it to where we can't utilize what we paid him the money for. So we're trying to find a spot for him on defense, and he just seems like he's a couple of steps behind. Eric Stokes, I guess he had a good game against the Lions, but I don't think he's made quite the comeback I thought he would from his injury the last couple of years. Jordan Love, he's second year starting. I still believe in him. He has the smarts. He has a good arm, a good knowledge of the game. He was behind one of the best for 3+ years. To see him grow and what he did, and there's that meme floating around Twitter with picture of Jordan Love with Brett Favre on one shoulder and Aaron on the other, like the angel and the devil.
I've seen that.
So it's good that he's taking chances. like a couple of his two pick sixes. This one against Detroit and the one against the Rams. The one against the Rams was worse than the one against Detroit because that he was trying to free up, make a play in the end zone, pick six. Luckily, we won that game, but I forgot who it was against, but he threw a pick like the 10, 15-yard line. It was a good throw, but a better play defensively. So that's like, like a punt. You punt in the ball and you can't, that was, like I said, that was a good play defensively. Then 2 plays after that, McKinney picked the ball back off again, so we got the ball right back. So, but you can't always put your defense in that type of situation either, But this time last year we were 3-6. Now we're 6-3. So, it could be a lot worse, and it's not. So I guess I'm just thankful that we're still afloat. The NFC North is back to the black and blue division.
Mm-hmm.
All 4 teams, except for the Bears, I guess are putting their work in, I guess.
I feel like the Bears have been kind of inconsistent. Obviously, with Caleb Williams there, they have a lot. He has a lot of feeling out to do as well. They've been they do good a couple of weeks, and they're back down to losing. He looks a little inconsistent. So,
yeah. And one more thing I want to add quick here, John, is the addition of Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
he's a workhorse. He's getting those 20 to 25 plus carries a game. Then our running back room is fairly deep. We have Emmanuel Wilson. Hopefully we get Marshawn Lloyd back here pretty soon. Hopefully after the bye. I forgot if it's against the Colts where we had Malik Willis. And this is what surprises me. So, you go from a pass-happy quarterback like Jordan Love getting hurt. We make the trade with Tennessee to get Malik Willis. LaFleur has less than a week to install a game plan for Malik Willis. And we ran for like 164 yards in the first quarter against the Colts. When you knew damn well what we were doing all game, or running the ball. So either you tackle the quarterback or you tackle the running back, and they couldn't do either. And I just don't get how professional football teams can't key in on you have a spy on the quarterback or a spy on the running back. How can these $1 million athletes not? I remember in high school we played against a team. I'm from the Madison area, so a team northern Wisconsin, Mauston. They ran the wing T formation where they're all bunched up right around the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are 6'4", 6'5", 290. They're huge. All week we practiced with no football. We just tackled. Anyone that came across our face, we tackled them.
Yep.
And they're ranked number 3 in Division III football, which is pretty competitive, division. We beat them both years. We practiced without a football. Just tackle somebody. How can these people making millions not figure that out? It still blew my mind that they knew what we were doing and they couldn't stop it.
I see that a lot of games. What's going to happen. The game plan of what's going to happen. And these guys, it's just they break into the secondary. It's why were you guys that? You don't have a robber, you don't have a spy, nothing. You just let them go. And then it's they're chasing them down. All you see is the back of their jersey running down the sideline. It's crazy how you don't game plan for this stuff or watch film of what they're going to do, especially with weather conditions or what their strengths are. It's crazy.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of we put ourselves in the losses against 2 teams in our division. The first loss against the Vikings, they came into Lambeau and they punched us in the mouth. But by the time we made the adjustments, we couldn't catch up. I think we all scored them 28-3 in the second half. But I have been happy with. There was a play where Christian Watson had 2 touchdowns. I forgot. There's so much going on. I can't remember what team it was against, but
yeah,
there was 4 eligible receivers, and he was right before maybe the 5-10 yard line, making a little slant, and Jordan Love hit him, And that play they drew up like on the sideline before it happened, like Matt LaFleur and his offensive mind that he has, they drew it up. And if you freeze frame as that ball's getting released, there's all guys on that team that were eligible to catch the ball. Nobody within like 5 yards of them. And that's just the scheming that LaFleur does, and that's what they brought him to Green Bay to do. Not have a quarterback in the huddle opt out of the play call to call a play that he thinks is better.
Right.
That's where they're bumping heads. And I think you have a team that trusts in their coaching staff, and we're seeing it for the last 2 years come to fruition. So I mean, we've had some bumps in the road, but overall, I'm happy with what I've seen so far.
Awesome. I mean, from what I've watched from you guys, I mean, Willis and Love are great quarterbacks. Obviously, the injury bug has bit your team a little bit, but Willis did a great job filling in for the most part for Love, kind of kept the team afloat until Love was able to get back. I agree with you, too. Maybe they probably should have maybe sat him, let Willis get out there, see what he can do in the last game. But, I mean, they're doing good. They're doing good where they're sitting right now in the division. And the same thing as far as injuries. I mean, being a 49ers fan, sitting here 4-4, coming off a bye, going into this next week against the Bucs is tough. I mean, last year we got ran roughshod all the way to the Super Bowl. But the Niners' MO for the past two out of 3 years has been we've been like 2-4, 3-4. We come out of a bye and we just go on a tear and just run it.
Well, and you guys are getting back McCaffrey. Right?
Oh, yeah. McCaffrey's back. Obviously, Ayuk is gone for the year, but a lot of guys are coming back. Brock started off a little slow. I think he had a lot of hype behind him for what he did last year. He's coming back looking good. I think he's got to revamp, take a look at some footage, look at some video, know what he has to do. The schedule coming up is a lot of familiar people, a lot of NFC West people. So I think he's going to be a little familiar with those defenses. I think the team's going to do really well. Trent Williams went on a pod last week and he said, "We're not losing another game." I was like, don't go that far. Don't go that far. But they did do that. 2 years ago? They were 8 out of 9. They were coming off being 2-4. So it can be done. But again, NFC West is a division that's winnable, but it comes down to beating the division like the rivals. And right now we took an L to the Cards, we took an L to the Rams. So we got to definitely get that evened up 1-1 and definitely have a better record moving forward. But I think it's promising for both teams moving into the playoffs in the second half of the year. So I'm excited for it.
Right, and like last year, we lost to Minnesota and Detroit in Green Bay, and then we went to Detroit and to Minnesota and just took care of business. So I mean, it's any given Sunday, man. It's just crazy, and to see like Green Bay used to be so much of a home field advantage throughout the regular season and in the playoffs, and now it just seems like, I mean, like I can tell like by the start of a game, my first few drives, it's like it's going to be a long game. It's going to come down to either the defense blowing the coverage or a turnover on offense. I mean, you look at the game against the Lions, and we had, like I said, Wicks had drop passes in the end zone. Like Josh Jacobs had like a 35-yard run. I think we missed a field goal on that drive. It's just the Cards didn't fall our way that game, and that could have been the game right there. We could have won. We held the highest scoring offense. It's like under 200 yards of offense that game, and we still lost. It's
tough. Those are tough L's. Those are tough L's to take, man. Like we had the Cards 4 weeks ago. We had them the whole first half, second half. We go into, it comes down to like there's I think 58 seconds on the clock. We give up a 45-yard and then they kick the field goal. It's just like, what are we doing? Like, come on. We had the game the whole way, and you puff it up. But like you said, I'm excited to go back to play Arizona, play the Rams again, and kind of take care of business. And, get that W back from them going forward and moving to the playoffs. I think the team's healthier. Here's hoping CMC. I mean, 2 weeks of running on natural and artificial turf, no setbacks. Knock on wood. He looks good. I mean, obviously Debo's coming in his own. Jennings is coming back as well for us. Purdy, I think, like I said, I think he's going to see the errors of his ways, come back against some familiar teams, kind of get back on the schneid and just figure it out. So I think the second half is going to be very, very good for San Francisco. And I think even with Love, too, getting better, coming back from injury, I think the second half is going to be just as good for Green Bay as well. So I think it's going to be good for both teams. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, last year we were 3-6 at this time, and we're 6-3. I think a big difference is kind of like last year we didn't know going into the season like what we really had to play with because, you know, the whole off-season trade with Aaron Rodgers and,
right,
you know, then you draft. It's just, you know, then this year we're kind of missing the injury bug a little bit. It sucked when Love got hurt. I thought he was out for the season when I saw that play against the Eagles. And I'm
that's
like,
what they were saying preliminarily. They were like, "Yeah, he's out." I was like, "Ooh, that's a tough blow for the Packers if he goes out."
Yeah, he just signs a new contract and he's out.
Yep. Brandon Ayuk, man, I feel that. I feel that, man.
But no, and it's just, you know, and I mean, we got a new training staff, so I mean, I think overall we've had 2 hamstring injuries hankering down in some of our players, but it's a lot better than having like 5 or 6 hamstring injuries. You know, Christian Watson's been out there. He got hurt, but he was back in 2 games. I thought he was going to be out longer than what he was, and you know, and people are going after him on social media and going after his dad. Obviously, I guess a lot don't know that his dad played for the Packers, you know, and he's a pretty smart guy when it comes to football. And, you know, you don't have to have 15 catches for 300 yards and 6 touchdowns every game. You go out there and you block and you do your job, and you got to be a decoy for the offense. And he's playing football. He's doing his job. Just because he's not getting, you know, points for your fantasy football team doesn't mean he's not a good receiver, you know.
Right, exactly.
He can stretch that top, and if he's not between 90 and 100% healthy, he could be just number 1 receiver in the NFL. I mean, he has the speed, the freak athleticism. I mean, he's just doing his job as a team player, and people don't realize that, you know.
I feel there's a lot of unsung heroes on both teams. I feel like even for the Niners, there's a lot of guys on the bench that haven't been playing, like that are just like ready to go offensively and defensively. So I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So that being said, obviously mid-year, a lot of stuff has already happened. A lot of stuff is going to happen. So I just want to kind of touch on the top four awards that go off, and just kind of where you're thinking, who you see kind of that's head and shoulders right now above. Obviously, a lot can happen, but we'll start with MVP. I'll let you go first. Who do you think right now, NFC, AFC, obviously entire NFL, who do you see right now kind of leaning toward the top of that list as far as vote getting for the most valuable player of the league?
I hate to say it, but Mahomes. I mean,
I don't know. I think it's an off year for him. I don't know.
But it's off year, but he's still finding ways to win. And that's being a valuable player. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. I mean,
yeah,
you know.
But Lamar, we know, is going to be good. I feel like we expect Lamar to go out there and do what he does, and he does. He's been doing it great. But and Mahomes too, I know. But it's just, I know it's not all about stats. It's all about making your team win. Like you said, he has, like I just said, he's had an off year, but he has found ways to be undefeated. So I mean, it's a thing.
I mean, he sold that injury at the end of the game last week, and he had like a Willis Reed comeback, you know, and it's just, you know.
I like it.
I could say a lot more, but I'm just gonna be good for now because, you know, it's just whatever. It's anyway. I would say Mahomes or Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, I mean, you can't stop the guy. I mean, I guess you can. I remember 3 years ago, snow night, Lambeau Field, Tennessee came in. Henry was like, you know, just out of his mind playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was like when COVID was running rampant. The Packers had like 15 different lineups throughout the whole year. And we held him to like under 100 yards rushing and like 3.8 yards per carry. So, I mean, he can be stopped, but you just have to, you know, just, I mean, he's a good fit in Baltimore. I like the smash mouth running type of football, you know.
Yeah,
And
I was watching the first half where we jumped on, and he's doing his business over in it's
yeah,
awesome. Doing his business. It's crazy.
yeah, I went to the preseason game this year in Green Bay when they played the Ravens. Obviously, not a lot of the guys played, but
Yeah.
dude is huge just with all his pads on. He's huge.
People say he's like, even without, he comes out and you're like, what? He's like, just
He's
huge.
like Luke Van Ness, but a running back. He's a big guy too.
So, like you, I go quarterback, but I got to look at a guy who's been with a lot of teams, finally looking for his niche, and I think he's found it in Tampa Bay. I think Baker Mayfield right now at the midway point is looking like an MVP. I mean, first in touchdowns with 23, 9 interceptions, a 105.6 rating so far, almost 2,500 yards, which is third in the league. I mean, the guy looks great, and being a most valuable player, he's taking this team and giving them that hope and the leadership that they need after the Tom Brady, and then they have the hangover after he leaves. I think Baker's been doing the things, the little things. If he doesn't see it when his checkdowns, he does it with his legs. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns on the year. Like he'll get in there, he'll get the extra yards, he'll get the first downs. And again, like you said, the Mahomes, if he has an off year, but he still finds the way. I mean, they're still winning games at 7-2, and he is finding the ways to win when they do win those games. So
They should have lost that game against the Buccaneers last week if they would have called that full start on the goal line.
I know.
But that's just the NFL, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, not for nothing too. The Atlanta game too. If they had held on to that defensively and not given that one up, they'd be 8-1. You know, it's just like it.
But I mean, it's just sometimes there's certain things that I think need to start happening with the officials because they're throwing games on purpose. I mean, it's just getting sickening to watch sometimes. You know,
there's some stuff. I know, in 2024,
if you're gonna call it one way in one game, okay, set the standard, right? So if you miss a call, I get it, you're human. But when you have people back in New York that can say yes or no on a scoring play, why can't you say yes or no on a penalty? You know, there should be like a guideline to where if it's on the edge of, you know, like when it's probably my French, but when that douchebag got kicked out of the game against the Packers, Brian Branch,
yep,
you know, and then he's walking off, you know, giving the double bird to the fans. And then the Lions secondary gets a T-shirt made up of a picture of him doing the bird. I mean, I honestly think that, I mean, they're dirty. They practice that way. Absolutely. They're coached that way, you know.
But you allow that stuff to happen, that's how they do it. It's wild.
Yeah. But I mean, even stuff like that, like, you know, I had to post. Well, obviously, I post a lot during game days, and I posted when the Eagles hurt Jordan Love. I thought that was a dirty play, and I had like almost 2 million impressions on Twitter. People coming after me, wow. Like I was getting like attacked in my inbox and everything. But you know, I have a right to have my opinion, and I think it was a dirty play. And even on that play with Love, you saw the guy twisting up, his ankle, and a guy came after me. He's like, well, that's Love's fault. He should have fell forward. It's like, dude, really? In the heat of the moment, you're going to make, okay, dude's on my ankle. I need to fall this way so I don't get hurt. It happens so fast, you can't control which way you go.
No, man.
And especially after seeing how Brian Branch celebrated after getting ejected for a helmet to helmet, you know they're coached that way. And I think the NFL, like I was saying, I don't know if it was my podcast or on somebody else's, like, and someone's like, well, you know, it's a dumb play. He shouldn't have got ejected. Well, in college, they get targeting, same damn thing.
Yep, they do.
No questions asked. You lean your head down and you go forward. You get targeted. They got to start finding these guys more because the NFL is like foolish money-wise because down the road, you get all these cases of CTE, you're paying money out of your slush fund to pay these guys off because you wanted to make the money in the moment. Now, 15, 20 years down the road, they're vegetable heads. I mean, no offense, but I mean, you look at the Junior Seaus and people like that You know, they couldn't step in and help him. Look what he did for the NFL. Then he's just out of the league, and here you go. Whatever happens, happens. You know, there's got to be a standard to where it's like an incentive for you to play not dirty. Like find them like a game check or 2 game checks, or just do something to where they play the game clean. Then you get all those guys coming after you saying, well, you know, it's football. It's a contact sport. But yeah, there's rules for a reason to keep the game in check. You know.
Yeah, I just feel like you said too, there's a lot of things that go down. It's just like, oh well, that was this, that was that. Like, dude, come on. In 2024, there's literally on TV when you watch it, there's like 4 or 5 different angles of everything, and like you can't fall a certain way. You can't. These guys are. You see the punches. You see the guys grabbing. You see what's going on at the bottom of the piles. Like, come on, guys. Like,
well, and it's like with I mean, it should be with every player, but you get like the faces of the NFL. Like, you get like a Tom Brady. He was getting all the calls. And you get like, you know, the Packers just invested how many millions into Jordan Love.
a lot.
And you have guys out there trying to take away potential money for the league down the road. The NFL is just going to take it. Find the team.
Yeah.
You know, if they're going to appeal it, go through the appeals process. You know, I just don't get how like out of date the NFL is with some of these issues. It's just college can figure it out for the most part. Why can't you guys the next step afterwards figure it out?
And I feel like that's what they're supposed to be doing with college anyway. Some of the things they're doing there, and I know they're doing it with the UFL, like doing rules and things down there to bring that up to the NFL so these kids know what's going on already. So they're already kind of groomed for that and they know what's going on. So,
but some of these kids in college are coached the same exact way that a lot of these teams in the NFL are. It's the culture.
Yeah.
What it is, you know? Look at the Saints when they had Bountygate. They knocked the hell out of Brett Favre.
What a time, man. Oh, man. That was wild when that stuff came out. Then you go back and watch the plays and you see they show the coaches' reactions. You're like, wow, that really is a thing. That's crazy.
And now you got, like, look at Brett Favre. A lot of guys' hero growing up when, you know, kids people my age.
Yeah.
Dude that said he has Parkinson's now. Is that caused from, you know, from hits, or is that hereditary? Is that just something that just got him? I mean, you know,
when he announced that sucked, man. Like you can say what you want about Brett Favre, but that you never want to see anyone like either CTE, anything like that, any debilitating disease, especially if an athlete that of his caliber, it sucked.
Well, look at Mutombo. I mean, that was nothing, but he had brain cancer, and just out of the blue, he passed away. You know, it's just like the Dikembe's, like, you know, you always think of the finger wave and all that stuff, and you know, it's just, it sucks.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's wild, man. I'm telling you, especially when it's athletes that we look up to for so long, especially like you. I've seen so much in NFL and other sports. It's crazy when like I open up Facebook or open up Twitter and I see the the dates and I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like this is what 2 years, and it's always wife, kids, a whole family left behind. It's never good for anybody. It just sucks to see that young, man. It sucks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it crosses over into a sport that. I mean, I don't know what was all wrong with like Chris Benoit, but I mean, something with
at least 7 concussions, 5 of which were diagnosed, and that's a whole other. They literally they tapped his they tapped his skull cap when they opened it up. It was literally like liquid that came out. There was no formed brain that came out when they opened.
Yeah, and then you look at
all you need to know. There was not anything going on up here. That was
look at Tua. Why is he still playing? He came back, and I saw a photo of him leading with his head down.
Yeah,
he's giving another one.
Put the guardian. Everyone's like, "You can put a guardian cap on." He's like, "No, bro."
He's giving another example of down the road. The NFL, because they didn't nix him from playing, they're going to pay through the ass to take care of him.
And he's how old is he? 24, 25?
Something like that.
Well, look at the quarterback who just retired. Was it from Notre Dame? He had 3 concussions. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah, well, look at even for your Niners, former Badger Chris Borland.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just you got it. These guardian caps. I mean, I know people like the first time they came out, people make fun of them. Guys, put them on your helmets. Who gives a shit what you look like? Like, protect your brain, bro. Like, that's what it's there for.
It's just sad to see like what the NFL, not just the NFL, but any professional sports that puts out a product to get revenue, what they're willing to risk to make that money.
Or what they're having to will the players risk. Exactly. No, same difference. It's just
then you have a commissioner making probably more. The last I knew, like 3, 4, 5 years ago, Goodell was making like $50 million, $60 million for what?
And there's other stuff on top of that. There's like incentive stuff for him as a commissioner. Like we all know Elon is one of the richest men in the world. No, Goodell's got to be right behind him because the money that the NFL is worth is disgusting. And the Amazon, Netflix, Apple TV, all you don't think he has a hand in all of the somewhat of all of these getting a part of this cut, dude.
Right,
the man has got
it's
filthy rich. No, it is. It's an embarrassment of riches. The man to be that gross, and all you do is you sit there and you go to the games. You go, oh, that's a cool rule. Let's do that. Like what?
And with the first pick of the 2025 NFL draft.
Yeah, that's it. You announced the first 32 picks. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, the NFL made $45 million. We're above water. You got each team made the NFL what? $300 to $400 million.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the salary cap's going to be like something stupid in another 5 to 10 years. Like these guys, this is going to be funny to me. I'll be sitting here, not to shake my fist at the sky, but to look at it like a guaranteed contract of like $250 million. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Just something, see it keep getting stupid as you keep
look at Deshaun Watson.
Oh, bro, that contract was wild. And look how that ended up for him.
Yeah. It couldn't go better for a team in the armpit of the United States. Cleveland,
it fell apart for Cleveland. Yeah, not for nothing. It really did fall apart for them.
Karma. It's
That's especially the way you saw the whole thing with the contract and the way they did it, so he wouldn't lose. The whole thing. Jesus, but no, karma's a good word. Karma's a very good word. So speaking of Deshaun Watson, speaking of others, let's go to offensive player of the year. You already brought this man up, Derrick Henry. 6.3 yards a game, 11 touchdowns already out, and I'm sure tonight he already went over it, but he had almost 1,100 yards. The man is head and shoulders above offensively, just what he does on his side of the ball when he gets that ball in his hands, and he goes, and he's fast. He up and north and south guy, very traditional runner, smash mouth, in your face. That's who I got offensively wise as far as when they get the rock, they usually score. What do you think?
Yeah, a guy that big shouldn't be able to be that fast.
It's illegal, man. You saw what happened to Saquon, right? When you saw he did the backwards hurdle.
Yeah, I posted a couple of memes on.
he got randomly drug tested. So let Derek have a couple more games. He's gonna get the next one to get the cup. So
and that's stupid too. I mean, I get it, but it's just dumb.
Don't say it's random. Like it's so we know why you did it. We saw the highlight. Don't, dude. Come on, man.
You wanna make it to where you're looking like you want people to think that you're doing your job, but know there's something going on, and you just don't want to admit it.
You know what I mean? Like no drug makes you the $6 million man. Just because he can hurdle a guy. That means he's athletic and he can do that.
Yeah,
like, that's all. But yeah,
it's not like it's Major League Baseball, knowing that you're juicing and they got whack baseballs that they're throwing out there that you can hit a mile. I mean, you can't tell me they didn't
probably hit one out of the park. You kidding me? Those balls are so juiced and wound.
You can't tell me the MLB didn't know that McGuire and Sosa and Bonds are juicing. I mean, come on.
Juicing? Bonds' head was this big. Like,
yeah,
like I'm just, and I'm one of those people too. I'm not saying I'm not for juicing. I'm not saying, but like, it can't make you see the ball any better through the strike zone. You still
got to be able to make contact,
right? But like, don't tell me you didn't know. Like, McGuire was this little man. Like when you saw him and Canseco when they were the Bash brothers.
Speaking of Baker Mayfield.
Yes,
that's Manziel. That's Manziel, but still.
Okay, I could call over to that. And Sosa too. Sosa was a little dude, and then all of a sudden he comes out this year against the Chicago Cubs. I'm like, who's that? That's Sammy's brother. That guy's huge.
And now he's white.
It's funny how that works out.
But no, I think Derrick Henry's offensive player of the year. Him or Saquon, just what they're doing at their position. I mean, even like Saquon coming off that injury. last year. It's
Saquon's definitely a close second, though. If he keeps doing what he's doing in Philly, I still can't believe New York let him go. I still cannot believe. I get why.
For Daniel Jones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I'm watching the same games we're all watching. Like, yeah, okay. But he's definitely tearing it up in Philly. He looks great. Definitely like rejuvenated to be out there. So, but it's definitely a 1-1A with him, and definitely a running back kind of room for the MVP.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Defensive Player of the Year, Jared Verse from the Rams. Looks good, man. He looks good.
Yeah.
20 solo tackles, 3.5 sacks so far. He had 2 consecutive games with sacks. He's just everywhere. He's a ball hawk. Everywhere that the play's going down, he's there. He looks really good for them. He's definitely a standout on that side of the ball. There's a couple other guys, but I feel like he's the one. Every time you're watching a game, you see his name's being called at least once or twice, whether it's solo, whether it's forcing a fumble, being involved in a play. I think that's probably the best bet right now. Obviously, a lot of things can happen in the next half. Back half of the year, Bosa could get hot. Watt could get hot. A lot of people could start to kind of amass some things and kind of go on a run. But right now, versus the guy I have right now defensively, to win that award, what do you think?
I'm going to be a homer and say McKinney.
It's okay. No, there's nothing wrong with that though. The stats back that up. It's not bad.
Out of 9 games, he has 6 picks, a forced fumble, a safety, or a sack. He's it's just I think when we have our full squad out there with Jair and with McKinney and our starters, I think they raised their game up. When you had you want to talk about karma, when you had Stephon Diggs before that Packer game over yapping at the defense and they shut him down.
Yep.
McKinney's like, I don't care who it is. He's like, Jair is my guy. We fight for him. And then the next week, Diggs out with an ACL. Like, yeah, keep running your mouth, buddy. And I think McKinney just from being a free agent coming over and I mean at one point he had 5 straight games with an interception. I mean, he's only 24 years old. I think he came over from New York with 9 interceptions, I think. So he's 24. He has 15 picks. That's crazy. I think in the impact he's making for the Packers is, what we were missing and what we had when we had Darnell Savage. As as a Niner fan, if he would have had that, had some hands in the playoff games, there would have been a different outcome.
Whole different outcome.
But no, I go with McKinney for sure. He's
that's a good call. I like that.
I'm like a Charles Woodson stan, right? So I've loved him since 96, 97 from Michigan, and I'm a huge Badger fan. But I just watching him play the game and how he played it. He's like a field general. Like he was a coach out on the field, and having McKinney kind of doing the same thing at the last line of defense at safety. He just has that whole Charles Woodson vibe. I think he steps that defense up and he raises. Yeah, I mean, you think of the greats that came to Green Bay: Reggie White, Charles Woodson. I mean, McKinney's up there until, Woodson and White, they both were part of bringing Lombardi's back to Green Bay. So I think McKinney's on the same path for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my boy Coach Gibbs always said, you stay humble, you get humbled. That's why you got to stop that jaw jacking. I'm telling you, because things come to those people down the road. You're like,
like I tell my kids, let your actions speak for you in all walks of life. Not just one thing, everything.
Was it walk softly, carry the big stick? That's it.
Yeah. Was it kill him with success and bury him with a smile or something like that?
Yeah. It's a variant of the kill him with kindness. But I don't know what you're trying to say. I like that.
Yep.
Same thing. It's like you don't need to do a lot. Just show it. If you do it, they'll see it. You don't need to talk about it. So it's the biggest mouth in the room that does the less amount of work. That's the deal.
Yep.
So obviously, offensive player of the year, Jaden Daniels, man. This
For
man's
rookie,
doing-
right? Rookie of the
Huh?
year? Rookie?
I'm sorry, rookie of the year.
Rookie.
Rookie of the year.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels
Yep.
for the Commanders. Wow. Setting records already for quarterbacks, let alone rookies. Almost a little under 2,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, taking the Commanders to a 7-2 record with almost 107 quarterback rating on the year so far. Right now, I can't see anyone even touching him.
Nope.
That could change. Obviously, there's a lot of time, but what he's doing down there in Washington, he's cooking. He looks amazing as a quarterback for the years to come. With that, talk about a franchise quarterback. You build around this kid, what he can do, and he's done it against some of the better teams in the NFL so far. I'm excited. Yeah. Like, obviously, I'm a Niners fan, but like, I watch the Commanders. I make sure I watch whatever TV's on because I work Sundays. So at the bar, whenever we have those games on, I make sure the Commanders are on and watch this kid cook.
Yeah.
It's amazing. He's great. He's only going to get better. So
yeah,
that's why
he almost gives you like I haven't watched too many of his games, but I know enough about him to know he's a weapon. He's like a Michael Vick out there.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. He really is.
But a right-handed Michael Vick. Vick was a lefty. And
his accuracy there's a couple. He's had a couple. Deep bombs for like 75, 80, and it's on a dime. It's just right in. It's not even like it's just the accuracy is disgusting. What he's throwing,
the one time I sat down to watch one of the game was that Hail Mary against the Bears, and I was just so over the moon excited, so happy when you had that Tariq Stevenson talking shit to the crowd before the play, like over by the pylon.
Oh, I lost my shit. I went nuts when he got that pass.
And then he turns around and realizes the play's going on. Then he runs there, and he's the one that tips the ball back to it's another example of karma, and it couldn't have came to a better team.
The football gods know, man. I'm telling you. But I'm excited, man. No, the Vic is just he already has the touch and the accuracy, and he already almost has that look in those eyes for a defense at this stage, being 9 games into your career. It's exciting. And if I'm in Washington, if I'm a Commanders fan, you got to be excited for the next 5 to 10, 15 years because this kid's going to cook. Barring injury, it's only going to get better. Yeah. And people are going to want to come there to play with him too because it's going to be good. I'm excited.
That's good for those type of teams too because you get a lot of these teams where these owners think they can just pull out the pocketbook and you're going to come play for them. Well, players got to form a bond with players within that team because you could make all the money in the world, but you could be like a Deshaun Watson and just be a total piece of shit bum that, that you just went for where the money was. You didn't care where it was. You just wanted to, whatever.
Get the contract, grab the bag.
And I mean, then you look at, I'm going to fall back to an example like Jordan Love. In the offseason, we got McKinney and we got Jacobs. They were both respectively captains on their previous teams. So, and they said in the interviews, like after the signings, that one of the reasons why they came to Green Bay was to play with Jordan Love. They saw what he was. So you want to get a player on your team that players want to come play for. I always think back to Aaron Rodgers saying, people come to Green Bay to play with me. No, people can't come to Green Bay to play with you because you want all this money and you want all your retread old has-beens to stay with the franchise like Randall Cobb, and it's just they're past their prime. It wasn't working. Could you imagine if the Packers would have let Jordan Love walk and we would have kept Aaron Rodgers? Could you imagine where we'd be right now?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of clamoring. There was a lot of clamoring, and you know this. You live it. You're there. There was a lot of things like, when's the kid going to play? When's the kid going to play? Get the clipboard out of his hand. I heard that up here where I am. It was a matter of thank God, like they kept him. They finally made the move when they needed to, and he looks good, man. Love looks good out there. He's definitely promising and definitely building a team around him from the years.
For sure. And people are like, well, what are you guys going to do when, our receiving room is stacked too? We have good 4, 5, 6 receivers. They're all within, a year or two of getting that contract extension, and you got to figure out who you want to keep. And one guy I didn't mention that's doing really good on offense for the Packers is Jaden Reed.
Mm-hmm.
He's like what we wanted when we drafted Amari Rodgers, but obviously it was like he's like Jaden Reed's like the Amazon version and then Amari Rogers is the Timu version, you know.
Timu.
But no, it's like you get okay, so you're not going to be able to pay these guys all top dollar. You either want to hope that they, you know, stick together as maybe like, you know, like maybe like the top 3 he'll keep and the other 2 whatever. But this is where you can command a decent draft pick for them, trade them before their contract is up and get draft capital. Look how good the Packers draft through the draft. Now with losing Preston Smith, look how much. Did you see how much money we saved in cap room by letting him go?
Yeah,
they're going to be like 60,
next year too.
$62 million in cap room. I mean, it sucked to see him go, but switching to the 4-3 just didn't suit him. I mean, hey, he was a hell of a player in Green Bay. Again, thank you for what you did, and I wish him the best of luck in Pittsburgh. You know, but I think now it's time to get, you know, Van Ness and Bretton Cox, and who else we got? Aaron Mosby, and we have Rashawn Gary. I mean,
you guys start building up that new team, that new, you know, like you said too. It's all about gelling too. When I don't have to look at you and I know like what you're gonna do, whatever the play's coming down, like that's when you know when you have one brain on either side of the ball, you're gonna play 110% better.
And the thing too is, it kind of shocked me last game because the week before, Adrian Cooper was like the NFC Rookie of the Week or Player of the Week because he had that forced fumble and fumble recovery against the previous team, and we barely saw him at all last week. It's like, come on, man, get the kid out there. Cooper's a good player. Adrian Cooper, get him out there, you know. And you got to get some of these younger guys in there to get them game time action so they can get better.
Yeah.
You know,
Niners have the same thing. Like Purcell's on the. I know he got shot. He's coming back. You know, it's a heartwarming story, but he's getting no reps right now, and people are telling like Kyle, like get him out there. If you're up by, you got the 21-point lead. Get him out there, get him some reps, get him catching the ball, get a relationship with Purdy because Purdy is going to get that bag at the end of the year. I can't see. I mean, obviously, we would have to have a massive implosion for him not to even look at him. He's going to be the quarterback of the future for the 49ers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to get guys that are good with him, especially the Debos and Ayuk once he comes back. These guys are signed for the 4 years. This is where you want the chemistry, the Jennings. You want this kind of stuff. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. You got to get, as much as the veterans are out there, you need to win games. You got to get the new blood and the new wave just as comfortable doing. Hey, you point to them, they throw the helmet on, you're just as confident going out there running a play.
Because you got to put it this way. If you don't get them out there in a year or two, they have that ego in their head to where, okay, well, if you're not going to play me here, I'm going to go somewhere else. And then those 3 years, then the 3 years that you've had with the program or the organization is just down the drain. Then you're starting over with somebody who's not familiar with the defense or the offense, and they're just like, okay, I'm out of here, you know. And it's just you want to. I mean, and I think Brian Gutekunst is doing a good job. He's doing a really good job. If you think about it, we went from being house strapped with the cap with Bakhtiari and Aaron Rodgers, and now we're like 61 plus above water. I mean, really? That's crazy. And that's just means like we didn't make a big splash in the trade deadline. Well, by trading Preston Smith, we did, you know. Mm-hmm. And you think about it, we traded for Malik Willis earlier in the year, and he won us 2 games when we thought that our season was over. So I mean, Willis, that right there is huge.
Nothing, man. Willis looked good out there, man. He looked really good in those games. Yeah, really good, man. He got it done. I was impressed.
And we have him through next year too. His contract is for next year. I'd be all for making him the highest paid backup quarterback in the NFL.
Now it's not always bad to have a quarterback like that. He's mobile. He's on. Oh, dude, it was good to watch that. It was fun.
Or you could just be like a gambler, and if you respect for what he did for you, and you want to give him a chance somewhere else, trade him, get draft capital, and just build out the draft. I mean,
he's good.
Green Bay's been known to build quarterbacks. They're a quarterback machine. I mean, Favre, Rodgers, now Jordan Love, and maybe Malik Willis, you know. And you think back to the Holmgren years, you had Aaron Brooks and you had Hasselbeck, and you had
Mike
Doug Pe-
Holmgren. Oh, there's a
Doug
throwback. Wow.
Doug Peterson, and you
Yep.
had all these quarterbacks that came out
Yep.
of Green Bay that were starters elsewhere. I mean, Green Bay is a quarterback factory if you think about it. So I mean, I'd love to see Willis get a chance, down the road somewhere else to shine. But at the same time, I'd like to see us get a nice return for him if he keeps improving, and that way our team can improve as well.
No, that's a good call. I like that.
Yeah.
So we agree so much, pretty much. Obviously, defensively, little, but we have other people. So comeback player of the year. This is a big one. This is kind of wide open. There's a lot of dudes, I think, this year that are really making a call for this award. Right now, stat-wise, going off of kind of what they're doing for their teams, where they are. Kirk Cousins, my man. You like that? That's my boy. I like right now what he's doing in Atlanta is amazing. 6-3 down there, doing it for the Dirty Birds. 230, 2,300 yards, 70 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, 102 passer rating for what he's doing down there. I mean, and just what he does with the crowd. They're winning. He's vibing. He's doing he's doing the wave with them. He's swaying. He's just having a good time. He just looks loose. No pressure. I'm here. They don't expect anything. Let's go out here. I picked them to win the division beginning of this season. I think they're going to go ahead and do that. But so I got Kirk Cousins. What do you think?
I have Kirk Cousins too, just because.
Nice.
I mean,
yes.
the reason, I mean, not just watching him is like, he seems like he's throwing the ball a little bit different. Maybe he still has some bit of irritation in that in the leg.
Mm-hmm.
But him and Aaron Rodgers had the same injury, and Aaron just looks like he's just, I don't know how to describe Aaron. It's just crazy. It's like, look at Robert Saleh when he was in San Fran. Like I hated the guy just because of his defensive schemes against the Packers.
I want him back so bad. And then he went to you guys, and then he went back to Green Bay as a special consultant.
But there's a story behind that. I
know. I'm just saying. I was like, I saw something about it online. I went, "Oh, Green Bay! Wait a minute."
and they hired him too.
I know.
But I mean, I get it. You want to get in the, you want to instill in the offense what the defense is thinking, so you can counter what they're thinking. And and B, I didn't realize he was so damn tall. He's like what, 6'4"?
He's a big boy. Yeah.
Like they had a picture of him standing next to the floor, and he's like up to the floors.
It's like, it might have been Wes Welker in San Francisco when he was there for a minute, but he stood next to someone, and someone got a picture of it, and it was literally like night and day, man. I was like, whoa, that dude is tall, man. Like,
yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, Aaron has just as many weapons around him, and it just seems like he throws people under the bus, and it's just, he's getting. It seems like he's getting coaches fired, and I don't know. I like Kirk Cousins. It's a feel-good story, and I'm glad he's not in Minnesota. But then you got Sam Darnold, who could be a comeback player as well. But what I've seemed to notice with watching the Vikings games is the more you have Aaron Jones involved in that offense, you keep going to him, they're running like a freaking Colt. And then when he's not playing, they just disappear. They're gone. They're nobody.
Tell me Aaron Rodgers isn't running the Brett Favre highway. So we go here, right? We go to Green Bay.
No, because Brett Favre made it clear he wanted to go to Minnesota right away.
Yeah.
And the Packers wouldn't let him. There was a story, I don't know if I told you or not, but his house in Green Bay, when he sold it, this is just rumor, but I've heard it multiple times that he left a can of paint in his basement that was the color potential purple.
Really?
So, but yeah, I remember that whole fiasco, and it's just like, the Packers, they're going to trade him to the Jets because they don't want him going to the Vikings, and I don't think Aaron would do that.
It would be wild if it happened, just because it's like so parallel. It's like what? It's I think the same.
It's like, well, he followed Favre, so he's gonna do the same thing Favre did, And then you got those jokes on X about the Vikings are gonna sign Jordan Love in 2038, and all that.
They're waiting. They got it on the calendar. They're just waiting their time.
Right? I think Jordan's going to be a lifelong Packer, though. He's still loved. He's still loved in Green Bay. I mean, not loved. I get it. Yeah, Jordan Love, but we're just happy to move on and be like in a different. It's like a different like a different era. It's like the Attitude Era, like in wrestling. This is a whole new feeling. It's just.
Yeah.
Speaking of wrestling, I have my kids. Since the last time we talked, my kids are just everything's wrestling. Like we have Peacock, and like we watched the thing last weekend.
Crown Jewel.
Crown Jewel.
Yes.
They're big. They're big Uso fans. Jay and
Jimmy and Jay.
The whole like the old bloodline. They like the old bloodline.
Okay, all right.
But no, they for their birthdays they want wrestling figurines, and my mom got them for Christmas, like the wrestling ring, and they wrestle with every time they go onto not Paramount, they go on to Peacock, and they bring back like all like the old Summer Slams and the Royal Rumbles and like Undertaker biographies and Hogan and Macho Man and all those guys. And
Peacock too, man. They have a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I've gone down the rabbit hole. I'm like, wow, they really do have the whole collection here. Like, this is wild.
Yeah, they're watching matches from like the 1990s, and it's just like, hey, it's keeping them out of trouble, I guess.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I just like the whole, even though the Packers, they still a year and a half with a different quarterback. I mean, they started off good. I mean, they started the downfall of the Cowboys, which I love to see. You go back to last year when they just came in and blew them out of the water at Jerry World, and there's nothing but a shit show at Dallas ever since.
Same thing with the Niners, baby. Every time it's Dallas Niners, I'm like, that's why everyone was like, hey, how you feeling about this week? I mean, you're going into your bye. I'm like, win. It's a win. Don't worry about it. It's a dub. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Who's playing? Dax in? It's a dub. Don't worry about it.
And like we refer Jerry World to Lambeau South, and Minneapolis is Lambeau West.
I'm dead. Remember, it's not just a logo; it's a rating. Remember that.
Yeah, no, it's a bird killer in Minnesota because birds fly into that big. They think they're flying, but they hit the windows and the birds fall dead outside the stadium. I'm serious. People are pissed about it.
That's like wild. The thing's huge.
But no, I think overall, it's looking up for Green Bay. We have now with losing Preston Smith, he was the oldest one on the team, and he was 31, and we were already the youngest team with him on the team, and now we picked. Okay, I'm just jumping all over the place. We picked up that former number 1 draft pick too. Put him on our practice squad. That linebacker. Mm-hmm. I can't think of his name, but
I don't have it.
Yeah, but anyways, I mean, maybe we could bring him in on the offense as well too, or on the defense.
Yeah,
and get him some reps out there. I just think the Packers know what they're doing, but it's just they got to get some more fire under their butts on the defensive line. And another thing too is that Aaron Mosby plowed over that tackle for the Lions last week for that sack. Like the all pro tackle just pancaked them.
That's the same thing too with the Niners too. Like offensively, like same thing with Love. He's doing it. He's getting it done in Green Bay. He knows he has that relationship. Purdy knows what he needs to do. He's got obviously the quote unquote Avengers, right? Obviously with Noah Ayuk. But defensively is our biggest thing. If you get past the line with having Williams and Bosa, you can get through that. The secondary is suspect. It's very, very. It's very light. They need to work on that. I've been saying that since last year. If you watch the games and you know, so it's just like it's defensively they need to get a little more of an identity, but offensively I think they're very good. They know what they're doing, and in Brock we trust. So
I'm gonna botch his name here. I want to say Evan Williams from Oregon. Okay. He's one of the top rated safeties in the NFL. For the Packers, and he's a rookie. I mean, he's making that much of a year. Then
there you go.
And he was out the last game with an injury, along with Jair. So I mean, and Javon Bullard, rookie out of Georgia, he's making an impact. He wants to go there and he wants to hit you hard. He's the one that knocked over Brown, AJ Brown. Is that AJ Brown for the Eagles in that opening game? He just freaking depleted them.
Some of these kids that coming out are just, it's like hitting a wall, bro. It's
Yeah.
like, damn, man.
Yeah. I coached 5th and 6th grade youth football this last year, and some of these kids, man, I don't remember when I was that age having kids that were that athletic and fast. And there's kids that were taller than me that, probably about 100 pounds less, but they had an arm. And it's like how these kids are it's just ungodly how athletic they are, but
every year, quicker, faster
and stronger.
It's wild, man. I'm telling you.
We never had the 7-on-7, flag football. We didn't have any of the gridiron stuff going on. We didn't have the AAU traveling, basketball or baseball. I mean, it's just there's so much more opportunity for the youth than there was back when we were kids, and you gotta kind of point that towards social media because we didn't have that back. We had AOL. All you wanted to do there is leave a kick-ass freaking away message. It's like, I'm hammered right now. It's just.
But now it's also cool too. And even in high school too, but college, if you're making those plays, you're doing dynamic things. You're gonna make it on the ESPN top 10. People are gonna see you on YouTube. You're gonna be the talk of a lot of recruiters, a lot of colleges. So it's just. I think social media does a lot of bad, obviously, but a lot of good for a lot of these kids who wouldn't get exposure that, let's say, at Boston College, wouldn't get seen in Green Bay or wouldn't get seen in Oregon State. I feel like those guys that are making the plays get recognized across the country and gets better for them to get and again, the whole portal situation, that stuff. And now they have,
it's fun. It's fun coaching like basketball because we just started basketball and the basketball program here. I'm in De Pere, which is just, 5 minutes from Green Bay.
Yep.
And their men's team won state 2 years ago in Division I, which is the toughest competition in the state of Wisconsin. And they thrive on defense. And they're pretty rigorous, training program and schedule. They do like the speed and strength for all the athletes in the summer during the school year. At one point last year, they're ranked like 13th or 14th in the nation as a high school basketball team.
Wow.
So they have a kid, he's going to be senior this year, but he's committed to the University of Wisconsin. He's like a shooting guard. His brother was really good. He went to Illinois State. So, they're putting out some good kids. They played against a kid who is a really like a phenom at Duke in Wisconsin. He was playing just outside Milwaukee, I think. Like I forgot his name, but he's a freshman this year at Duke University. So you definitely, you see the AAU circuit and you see the online social media posts from the De Pere website and De Pere social media. It's just cool to see all these kids get recognition for their talents.
I agree. I like it.
It's awesome.
So I guess the only thing I have to talk about halfway point. We can do a lot of predictions, things like that. And so I guess let's talk about the Super Bowl. Personally, for me, I think it's going to be I want it to be Kansas City and Niners. Niners finally get some revenge. Take that. Because I feel like if the Niners go this year and it's anyone but Kansas City, and let's say they win by 20, everyone's like, that's cute. You won the Super Bowl, but you didn't beat the Chiefs. It's going to leave something to be wanted if you're a San Francisco 49er fan and even across the country. Yeah, you won. You didn't beat Mahomes, though. So personally, I do think Kansas City's on a really good tear right now. I'm sure they'll lose a game or two. I don't think they're going to go undefeated. Maybe they do. But I think Kansas City comes out of the AFC. I think the 49ers turn it around. It's going to be a fight. Don't think they're going to get to the number one seed, but they definitely have to go on the road and get it done. But Niners, Chiefs, Niners win the Super Bowl. Maybe it's just pie in the sky kind of stuff, but that's just me. What do you think?
I said at the beginning of the year that my teams that were going to come out of the NFC would be either at the time was like San Fran, Detroit, and Green Bay. I think all still living up to that hype.
Yeah.
Buffalo got better with getting Amari Cooper.
Agreed.
They seem to be clicking. They got a former lineman back this last week. I forgot, like number 93, some big dude. I don't know. We did beat the Chiefs last year in Kansas City, I think it was. No, it was in like as at Lambeau.
Your guy's house.
Yeah. I want to say Green Bay against the Chiefs.
That would be a good game.
I just don't know. It depends on how we play you guys in Detroit. Detroit will be the second game against them this year, and see how we play against them. And obviously, you guys.
Yeah.
Is that in Green Bay? I can't remember. Is that game in Green Bay against?
I believe it's Green Bay.
I just see the Vikings falling back in the second half of the year.
I think the Lions have had a great record this year. They've had a great run what they're doing. I think they have a bad taste in their mouth from that NFC Championship game. Not taking anything away from the Lions. They kicked the hell out of it. Obviously, there was some coaching stuff that went down going for fourth down 2 times. But I think the Lions know they were like, we could have – that was ours. We gave it away. And I think their destination is – especially with a coach like Campbell. That man is insatiable when he wants something. So I think those guys are going to run roughshod through a lot of teams. So
yeah, I just hope it gets to the point to where if obviously Detroit's going to make the playoffs and the Packers make the playoffs, hopefully, they don't play – well, depends on what seed Detroit gets. Hopefully they get knocked off before we would have to face them, so we wouldn't have to face them.
Yeah. And
then I feel a little bit more comfortable. But like I've said too, I'm pretty sure I said that we'd finish. I'm thinking like 12-5, 11-6, and we're on pace for that right now.
Yeah.
It all depends on how we come out after the bye. I think I'm not worried about the Bears at all.
No,
to be honest.
Don't be.
I've said all year. I said after the first couple of games, I was surprised that the Bears didn't go after more offensive linemen to keep Caleb Williams on his feet.
Yeah. I've been on record. I'm not a fan of Caleb Williams, but I mean,
neither am I. Yeah, it's just.
Then, like today, he came out talking about a la Aaron Rodgers. He was talking about DJ Moore, and DJ needs to get on the same page as me. What is up with you guys calling out your wide receivers? That doesn't help anything, just so you know. Publicly, keep that in the locker room. Calling out a wide receiver and do you think they want to hear that when they wake up in the morning and open Twitter and open their social media and watch ESPN? And they're, you know what I mean? It's just wild that quarterbacks are doing that now. You're not helping chemistry at all, at least, especially wise.
And it's kind of nice that the Packers, kind of got a little bit of humble pie in the first half of the season. Because I think we're more dangerous when we're like the underdog.
Same with the Niners.
Yep. You think of like 2010, we were a wild card team, and we went to Philadelphia, to Atlanta, and Chicago. I think we beat them 3 times that year, and we just like our ass was on fire. Like we just
part of the "Who's Your Daddy" movement.
Yeah, like I remember Tramon Williams had that pick in the end zone against the Eagles to close that game out. Sam Shields had, I think, 2 interceptions against the Bears in the playoff game. Tramon Williams had a pick 6 against the Falcons in the Atlanta whatever dome they're in there. I just think I'm more comfortable being the underdog versus having all this hype. Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where I think we were 15-1, 14-2, or whatever, and we had a first round bye, and we just got blitzed in the first game, and we were out. It's like, wow, like what a letdown. I'd rather go in like under the radar and make noise versus making all this noise and then shit in the bed. You know what I'm saying?
Was it 4 years? Was it 4 years ago? Not to bring it up like that, but just there was a game. It was the Niners and Packers. We lit it up in Lambeau.
I think that was COVID. I think.
Was it the COVID? It was like. Yeah. I'm not being that guy. I'm not. I'm just trying.
No, I know. I know what game you're talking about.
It was like 42-10.
Yeah.
And I was at the bar. Me and my wife were watching it, and we're watching it. I'm like, and it keeps going and going. I'm like, I came in. I said, "Listen, it's going to be a game. Aaron's on his. There's no way." And I'm watching. I'm like, "Wow, holy shit!" Like, okay, wow. But
Yeah,
that was a wild game. But like
I think that's what I was talking about. Like we were like 14-2 or something like that. 15
that might have been the game. Yeah, it was.
And then we just, I mean,
everything went wrong that game. If I remember correctly, nothing went right in that game for Rodgers or the offense. Like nothing clicked. It seemed like it was like everyone just threw them together one day. Like, hey, go play football. It just didn't look like the same team that had played the regular season. Because I'm not one to ever sit there and put a win in the board. Like I'm like, hey, any given Sunday, this team's good. Obviously, when they, in the championship, and I'm like, halftime, I was like,
because weren't the stands empty?
It was by the fourth quarter because they were up. I think
COVID. You couldn't have anybody really in the stands.
Was that the point? Okay, I don't. That's foggy. Did they have people there? If it was still spaced out,
they had some people there, but not a lot. Like,
okay, I don't know if they were still doing like baseball with the standees.
But they had like people. I remember people holding like Quick Trip is a big gas station here in the Midwest, and people like promoting like Quick Trips like pizza and whatever. I just remember that. But yeah, I'd rather go like in as an underdog, low key, and make noise. Be the fighter.
That's one thing.
If you go in like, oh, I'm 16-1 or I'm 17-0, and you're like, I just think that you're set up more for failure. You expect to, like, you're looking past the game you're in now to the next game, and just you're not fully there mentally.
Yeah, and there's no team that's going to go in let's say you go undefeated in the season. Cool, awesome. There's no team you can tell me in that locker room in the back of your head you're not thinking about the undefeated record. And I always go to the Pats, and they didn't blow it. It wasn't their fault, but they didn't get it. They went 18-1. But it's like, especially I look at the Chiefs, and I'm like, okay, they're 8, okay, 9-0, 10-0, 11-0. Keep going. Eventually, you're gonna. Every year, I feel like every team gets an L. Do you want to really get that L in the back half of your season, maybe the Super Bowl? You want to get it out of the way. There was I think 3 years ago, the Pats. This is when Garoppolo was playing for the Niners. Garoppolo was playing. It was Pats and Niners, and they were both 9-0. And they started talking about comparisons. And I'm like, no, get the loss. Take an L. Get it out of the way, because now you're like, whoo, okay, let's focus on everything else. That undefeated thing is such a force. Like, like that. You can tell me, oh, we're not thinking about that. Yes, you are.
Yeah,
yes,
mentally, it's
if you go into the Super Bowl undefeated and you complete the season and you're world champions, there's no way you're gonna sit here and tell me, we're not thinking about that. Yes, you are. And every little thing matters. It's on the microscope times 10. So it's just, I agree. Purdy and this team, I don't think they're going to start out 4-4 every year, but someone like Brock Purdy, who's heard the whispers, who's been talked to like that, being Mr. Irrelevant, and now he's doing what he does in San Francisco. I think it's now where Brock is one of those. I think he's going to be an ultimate underdog because he knows how that feels, and I think he knows the feeling of saying, "Got you," and that team will rally around that. Where, oh yeah, doubt us, doubt us, don't think we'll get it, and they go out and they win it, and they get the job done. So I agree with that. I like being an underdog. As far as right now with this team, I like being an underdog.
Yeah, you don't want to have too many high expectations, because then you're just going to end up, every game is just going to be like, you're going to get to the point where you're going to hate the team. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know.
You're not living up to your expectations. Yeah. We're just a fan. We're not the ones out there putting the product on the field. We're just, I have no fantasy. I don't do fantasy football, and I have the only skin I have in the game is being a fan and wanting a good game and wanting a W. If I don't get a W, I don't care. I can remember back playoff games, back when I was drinking. I would just drink myself into oblivion, and
that
was
the Chip Kelly years for me, man. Listen.
Oh man, I remember there was one game where I was drinking in my recliner, and I was just hammered, right? And I was just down in beers. I used to hate drinking like warm alcohol, so I drink it when it'd be done. I still have like the frost on the can or the bottle, or the condensation. And I remember waking up, and I called into work the night before, or the night that I was drinking, and I remember waking up like on my recliner, I'm like looking at my phone. I'm like, oh, did I call into work? I'm sitting there squinting at my phone. I called in like the security guard like 3 times that called in sick or whatever. And I was pulling empty beer bottles out of the freaking crack of the recliner. And oh man, I was a mess. But this last November, November 1st of this year, I hit 3 years sobriety. So
Awesome. Congratulations. That's amazing.
yeah, it's
Awesome.
a great feeling knowing that I can control my own thoughts and not have to worry about something altering
Right.
who I am. So yeah, it's when you see people drinking and stuff, it's like I don't miss those days at all.
Some of the videos that make their way out when their teams lose or we get into the playoffs, it's wild to see that kind of stuff. I'm like,
Especially
guys,
Bills Mafia. That's crazy.
I don't think they need to drink though. Like those guys are nuts regardless. A good friend of me and my wife, they're built. He has season tickets. He lives like a couple towns over. They're actually playing the Bills in 3 weeks. We're still talking about maybe going up to Buffalo. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Knock on wood. But yeah, I feel like the Mafia doesn't need to be drunk. They're just crazy regardless. They're jumping through tables when they get there. Like it's nuts.
If I had to pick a second favorite team to follow or to root for, it's Bills Mafia because there's so much like they seem like they're so cool to hang around. You know what I'm saying? Big tailgate. I mean, huge tailgates, and I mean, I grew up at Wisconsin. Parties down there just off the wall at Madison, Green Bay tailgates, and you look at like the Bills tailgates, and a lot of followers I have on Twitter are Bills fans, and just
Same. I have a lot of Bills people.
they seem very passionate about their Bills, and I'm not going to pick a favorite second NFC team because there's only one in my eyes, the Packers. And I think an easy number 2 to call my favorite would be the AFC, would be the Buffalo Bills for sure, just because I don't know, they seem like a cool bunch of people.
No, I agree. Awesome. Well, this has been awesome, man. Again, it was supposed to be a couple more other people, but hey, life happens, and we always have a great conversation. We talk football, so yeah. I appreciate you taking the time, man. It's been awesome.
For sure.
I think the second half is going to be awesome, and hopefully we're able to get together for the playoffs and kind of talk about kind of where we thought our predictions were.
We'll be together for the San Fran game.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That'll be fun. And like I said, it's going to I think the second half is going to be great. I've said it before on my shows. It's just like we wait so long to count down to the NFL, and this season goes by so fast. I hate it. Like, I can't believe it's already halfway. I'm like, man, that means like February's right around the corner. It'll be over. I'm like, man, but yeah. So awesome. So folks who haven't seen you before, obviously on my channel, where can everyone find you socially, either on YouTube or anywhere else on the social media?
On YouTube, you can find me at Cheese Talk Podcast. It's all one word. I spell cheese with a Z, not an S. And on X, you can find me at Cheese Talk _pod. And I just recently joined that Blue Sky. I joined the Blue Sky app.
I've heard about this Blue Sky thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like Twitter, but it's not. I just dabble into everything to see what it's like. I did Threads, and I haven't been in Threads in forever, but I did an account, figured what the hell. So at Blue Sky, you can find me at Brian-Rago, RAGO, something simple. I try to put up at least between 2 and 3 podcasts a week on my YouTube channel. I post crazy videos, sports videos from around the world, like crazy football plays and high school football plays, NFL, some basketball stuff, and just some crazy sports stuff. I like to talk about Packer sports and life. So,
awesome. Love it. And obviously for everyone watching us on YouTube and on X, you can find us at ShareShot Sports, also on Instagram and on Facebook as well. So if you're watching us on YouTube, please give this video a like, shoot us a subscribe. We appreciate it. So awesome, man. Well, halfway through the season, looking forward to talking Packers-Niners soon, and obviously talking about the entire season as we move into the playoffs later on. So
absolutely.
I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we will definitely be talking soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Thank you.